Hello there. They told us that voter fraud was just about non-existent in the UK, but now the truth is emerging. When people like me wanted to see photo ID and paper ballots inside polling booths, in polling stations, and a massive cutback on postal voting so as to ensure UK election integrity, we were told by lefties that there was no voter fraud to speak of. So we needed more postal voting and voting without ID, they said, to ensure the vulnerable could vote. But now we find out that so-called family voting or community voting takes place regularly in polling booths across the UK. That's when the male head of the household accompanies members of their family into the booth to ensure they vote the right way. Now extrapolate that into the home where postal voting is used. The campaign group Democracy Volunteers, that advises those who legislate for, administer and oversee elections, sent more than 200 observers accredited with the Electoral Commission with support teams to 1,721 polling stations across the UK for the May 2022 elections. Here's what Dr. John Alt, Director of Democracy Volunteers, said. Our observers continue to see significant levels of family voting where one person has oversight or control of another person's vote. In the UK, where the secret ballot is a long-standing practice, it continues to be worrying that rarely do we see it prevented. We call on legislators and administrators to be more aware of family voting as it undermines the right to vote in secret and to legislate where possible and prevent it in the polling stations when it is seen. And Democracy Volunteers said, our observers saw family voting across all parts of the UK, and it was not limited to any one ethnic group or another. That means that the vulnerable are voting, but are being instructed how to vote. Just what our Marxists wanted with their ID-less voting, I suppose. So this type of voting fraud is taking place across the UK in significant numbers. Now think how widespread it would be in family homes, with the head of the household watching over their wives' shoulders as they filled the forms in. So I expect to see the woke brigade get up in arms about this now and demand a return to the system of traditional physical presence at a polling station and that voting secrecy be rigorously enforced. But we won't, because the woke are tied up in knots about culture and identity and don't know which way is up. But those on the left claiming we don't need to enforce ID and the like or check up on those voting and how they vote should now get with those of us calling for tougher regulations to ensure the integrity of the elections and the secrecy of the ballot. But sadly, the lefty wokesters are far more concerned with appealing to multiculturalism in the hope of garnering minority votes than caring about true democracy.